What's up, guys? We're going to do things a little different today. So instead of me popping in and seeing you guys, I'm going to actually show you through the process of how to set up your group, research project, how to organize, where to find sources, and how to document your sources. So going to be a lot to do today. So let's get started. First thing you need to do is head to where my screen's at right now, which is Google Drive. I know a lot of you guys kind of go through Google Sheets or Google Docs or whatever, but get into the habit of going to Google Drive because you can get everywhere you need to go. You can get to Google Docs and Sheets through here. But so once you get to Google Drive with your team, one person on your team, kind of like the lead organizer that you guys have been working with, you need to do the following. So just one person from each group. Click the plus button, the new, and click folder. So you're creating a folder for your group. Okay, and you should name it practice group research project. Okay, and then you click create. So now you'll have a folder, and mine's over here. I have a lot of folders. I don't imagine you guys will. And what you're going to want to do is click on it, and you'll see that it's empty. Okay, so now what you want to do is share it with the rest of your group. So you're going to click this down arrow right here, and you're going to click share. And now you'll share it with the people who are in your group. So I'll share it with Mrs. Madden. I'll share it with Mrs. Hamilton. Okay, and whoever else was in my group. I would click send, and now each person in the group will have access to this folder. Okay, so do that now. Hit the pause button. Do it now. I'll wait. Did you hit pause? All right. So I'm going to say you're done with this. Now, for those of you who it was shared with, what you will do is go to your Google Drive and click shared with me. And you will find the folder up here more than likely if a folder was shared with you. And what you'll do is you will actually add it to your Google Drive. So if you right click on it, and you'll see right here, add to my drive. So now when you add it to your drive, it now becomes a part of your drive and a folder on your front screen. Okay, simple enough. So now anything you create within this folder will be shared with each member of your group. And that's important when doing the group research process, because you each kind of need to know what each one of you is researching, and perhaps you can borrow sources from each other and things like that. So now you make sure you're in the practice group folder, and now each one of you is going to create your research log. So all of you right now will be in your practice research folder. Click new and click Google Doc. I'm going to do this with you right now. Okay, so all of you should be here. If you need to hit pause until you get to this point, hit pause and get to this point. Okay, first thing you want to do is title it. What I would do is put your own name first, your own last name. So my last name's Armida. Do not put Armida for this. Someone in my period 4 class did that today. Armida, and then put research log. Okay, so put your last name right over here, and then research log. Now, a research log is, the purpose of it is to keep track of all the sources you might use for your paper and your group project. Why we keep this? Number one, it's a place for you to have your notes. And number two, it avoids you getting flagged for plagiarism. Okay? I'm not editing this video, so you're going to hear me stumble and bumble just like you do during class. So the first thing you should do with this research log is get into the habit of changing the font to Times New Roman size 12. So do that. That is the official font size and font of the Capstone AP seminar. Okay. So now your research log has 3 components that you should have in it. The first one is the citation. The second one are your notes. And if you want to get fancy, you can call them annotations. Okay. And then the last one are your quotes. The first two are mandatory, non-negotiables. The last one is strongly recommended. And I spelled recommended right. Okay. You should all probably type those three things. So as a reminder of what you need, you could always erase later. Okay. So now you have a research log. Your group has a question, at least one to start with. You probably will tweak it as you go. And now you have to actually find stuff. Okay. So where do you go? When you do your real AP capstone seminar, task 1, you will actually have access to a database. But for this one, you're not going to, and you're going to have to analyze your sources a little bit more closely. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to get sources. The first way, you can do what everyone does and go to Google. Now, one thing right now, Google is a search engine. It is not where a source is. So if I said, where'd you get your source? And you say Google, you're completely and totally wrong. Google is a search engine that leads you to sources. Okay, so how do you search? The biggest mistake people make is typing too many words in the search box. You want to do what's called a Boolean search, which are keywords. So if I'm going to do something about the protests and the NFL, I would do NFL. And actually, you know what? I'm going to back this up and actually go to the real Google, so you can see. All right. So now I would do NFL, and that's the Boolean right there. And now I would go protest. And now if I could type, that would be even better. Okay. I click search. Now the reason why is it will only search for things with those keywords in it. If you don't get what you're looking for in those keywords, like if you look through, like Vox is a media company, it's new. Not sure about the reliability, especially for an AP section. New York Times, now that would be one that could probably be used. USA Today is definitely a notch below. And then Washington Post, all things like that. If you weren't happy with these, you play with your search terms. You can't come up to me, Miss Hamilton, Mrs. Madden, and say, I can't find anything. This is the frustrating and tedious part of research. You actually have to play with the terms. So I might do, instead of NFL and protests, I might do racism and protests. Now there's other things here. You can see there's even scholarly articles, which we'll talk about in a little bit with Google Scholar. Okay. We could even do, we'll go protests and effectiveness. Okay. And then we get an article from the New Yorker. Okay. So whatever you're looking for, those are the kind of terms you're playing with. Be careful of the site. You want to definitely stick to the more reputable sources that have been around for a while, like a source like Quora. Definitely not, because people are just answering questions. How stuff works, not really. So you definitely want the tried and true sources when you're using Google. So I'm going to try to use this source, the New Yorker. So I'm going to click on it. Okay. And it came up to this article. The full text is available, and that's a key part, full text. And let's say I read it, and I think I really want this. Okay. From my perspective about society and its effect, I'm going to use this. So now the first component of my research log here is a citation. How do I get that citation? I go to ezbib.com. Okay, and EasyBib's another site you should do. Now, EasyBib isn't as easy to use as it once was, but it still can get the job done. You only want to create citations, so I click there and wait for the picture to load, the site to load. Okay, so now I'm ready to go. Always MLA for this. So what it needs is the URL. So I'm going to copy it and paste it into EasyBib. And then click Cite. Now EasyBib will do its thing. Okay. They found the article, so now I'm going to click Cite. Here's what they found. So they pretty much found everything that you would need. They say they didn't find the publisher and sponsor, but I bet you they did. Okay. And they did. So it's here. Boom, boom. Everything's filled in. So now I'm just going to click Complete Citation. It's being created. Now, here is, once we get there, where did it go? It's loading. It's slow. And there it is. So there's my citation. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to my research log and paste it in. Okay. Now I'm going to immediately change this font to size 12 Times New Roman. Okay. And now it's time for me to do my notes. What's good about this is you now have the hyperlink, so you can go back forward pretty easy. Now for notes, you don't want to take narrative kind of notes where you're rewriting the article or things. These notes have to be in your own words. They have to be key points that you could use and really focus points, things that relate to your lens. So I'm a big fan of bullets. So if I'm going through the article, okay, get out of the ad. And as I read it, protests don't seem to have impact. 2017 study about economics and whatever. Okay. Now the question will be, how many bullets do I need? For some sources, you might have 30 to 40 bullets. Kids last year, they would fill an entire page full of notes because they found a great source. But for other sources, you might only have 2 to 3 bullets. Okay. It's important in this process that you have a wide variety of sources. Obviously, so you can't just have 1 or 2 sources. For a 1,200 word paper, you're looking anywhere from between 6 to 12 sources in order to like do this really, really well. Okay. So I'll just type some random notes here. Random notes, more, and more. So let's say I'm good with that. Now my last part are quotes, and you should have quotes because when you're writing your paper, you are going to want to be backed up by others and experts. So you should have some. Now, just because you're pasting the quote in doesn't mean you're actually going to use it, but it is good to have. So I'm going to go in, and this one you could actually copy and paste. So if I find any random quote that I think is good. Now this one actually looks good. So I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into here. I'm going to immediately change the font size. Okay. And I'm going to put quotes around it. Okay. So that is a complete research log entry. Okay. So now you have one source annotated with quotes, and you have your citation, which you're going to need later for your final research paper. Okay, so that going to Google and finding sources is a little more difficult and a little more work because you actually have to find things. Another way that you can go is to our North Rockland Library homepage. Okay, our library has a set of databases which curates all really pretty good sources. So I'm going to go to nrhs.northrockland.org. And that brings us to our home page. And where you're going to go now is to the department and class sites. And you're going to go to library media. And I would bookmark this page because you will actually use this page a lot. Our high school has a bunch of databases that we subscribe to. Now, if you're working from home like I am, you're definitely going to need passwords. If you're at school on your Chromebook, you're going to need passwords, and I'll post those passwords on Google Classroom for us. I hope I remember them now. I didn't really think that through now, did I? But anyway, the couple of databases you're going to need and probably use are InfoTrack Newsstand, because it's all newspapers. Historical newspapers is great. You can go back if you're someone who's doing the historical perspective. You could use this. There's a whole bunch of science if you're going into science. And then there's this debates, issues, and controversies. So let's see if I can access InfoTrack from here. Okay. Password, I believe it's, let's see. See if I got it. Nope. You're going to watch it with me right now. All right, we're out of here. Well, this is kind of embarrassing, I guess. All right, so you're going to follow me right now because I am not editing this video, and I'm going to Google Classroom, and I'm going to access the passwords from last year before I post them to the new ones. So you're going to watch me do this right now. So I'm going to go to my archive classes. I'm going to find my seminar class from last year. Okay. Where you be? This is all right, so it should be here. So here we go. Now I have to find research help, database passwords. Look at that, I actually had it. Okay, so Empire Link is the password. Look at that. Look at that. All right, so just live stream that. So here we go. You are now into InfoTrack, okay? And this will search every newspaper that's curated, databases, journals, everything. So you do the same kind of search. So I'm going to do protests and racism, right? I think that's where I went. Okay, I'm going to hit search. And you'll see that I have 48,000 different sources, okay? The one thing you're going to want to do here is full text. Make sure that is clicked. And that'll be something important when you get access to EBSCO for the real one, because you will, having just partial access to the text and not the full text is useless. You can't use that in good research. Okay, so the first one is actually a broadcast transcript. I don't think that looks good. The good thing about this is it'll tell you if it's an article. So I'm going to use this one right here. So I'm going to click on it. Now the good thing with InfoTrack is you can actually listen to the article if you want. Okay. And you can go from there. So I'm going to read this quick. I'm a speed reader. Here's the best part about using the school databases. They give you the citations. Okay, so let's say I'm going to use this. So now all I have to do is copy this citation into my research log. And now I've started the next part. So now I'm going to remove the formatting, make it all size 12, Times New Roman. Okay, I have my second citation, and I'm going to begin to take notes. Here are my notes. Notes, protest on campus. I don't know. I'm making stuff up right now. Killed, okay, etc. I find myself a quote that I like. I'm going to use this one right here. And I'm going to put it into my research log. Okay. And again, I'm going to change this to Times New Roman, size 12. Okay. And again, if I find another quote that I want to use, I can put that underneath as well. I'll even do that for you so you can see that. I go back and I find another quote. Okay, I'll say this random quote, which probably doesn't make sense. Okay. Copy it. I paste it into my research log. I do the same thing. And again, there's no limit to quotes. There's no limit to bullets. Okay. You just want to have a wide variety of sources and information. Now, one thing with working with the school databases, okay, let's say like with Google, you can just bookmark your article, you know, you have the hyperlink, but with databases, it's a little more tricky and we tend to lose a lot. So some people will click save to my folder, but you don't have an account, so that doesn't really work well. One of the great things with this database is you can send it to your Google Drive. So I'm going to click that. And what that's going to do, it's going to send it to your drive. And if I go back to my Google Drive, I now have another folder labeled InfoTrack, and I have the article I was actually on, okay, with everything there, the full text, and I believe even the citation at the bottom. So even if you're just reading articles and you think it's good and you don't have time, you can actually save it to your Google Drive and it'll be there. It won't be in your shared file, but it'll be in your own personal file, and then you can always move it over like this. You can move to, and then you can figure out your folder where you want to send it to. Okay, you click that, and it's frozen right now, so forget that. But you would move it, you would get a list of places where you can go, and it's, there we go. It's kind of, there we go. So I can go to my practice project and move it into that folder. So now, when I go into my folder for practice, not only do I have my research log, but I have articles that I can share with the rest of my group as well. Okay, so there's the one, and this one will be really good with what you're looking for. Other databases to look for, issues and controversies is a great one. Let's find that password. Let's see, issue is Raiders 123 North. Okay, Raiders 123, and then the password is North. Okay, so issues and controversies is a little different. They have it kind of set up as a debate. So you can even see there's, you know, football players kneeling. So I'm going to click that one. What you don't want to do and you can't do is pick the pro-con article. That is not research worthy. It'll give you a good basis. It might even give you some good graphics to use that you can cite later. But this is not the article for you to look at. What you want to look at are the primary sources. Okay. And again, these are curated from really good places. The National Association of the Advancement of Colored People. That would be a great source for you to use. This one, a Supreme Court document. Those are the kind of sources you're looking for. So if you click on it, you can actually read it. And again, there's your citation, and you can do all of those things. Okay. All right. So I think we've covered everything with getting your group set up, starting your research log, and where to find good, reliable sources. You should really live in the library database section for this. This will make your project and your research process much easier. Okay. So your goal for today is to set up your research log, try to get at least one source. By November 1st, or in another week, you should have a research log done. Me spelling economics wrong is bothering me. There we go. Okay. By done, it doesn't mean you can't go back and add sources, but you should have between 6 and 12 sources ready to be graded. And this will actually be graded pretty strictly. And here's why. Number one, you need good quality sources. So if you're just finding not quality sources, after we've spent a lot of time kind of going through what argument is and, you know, validating sources and looking at bias, we have to knock you for that. The reason being is this is a group presentation. if you don't have quality sources, not only are you losing out grades on your individual paper, you're going to hurt your group's grade for the group presentation. Okay, so we will knock you for sources. We are expecting good quality notes, things that you will use for your paper. You're not just breaking down an article to summarize. You're taking out the information, really focused on the lens that you're using. Okay. And that's really what we're looking for. So this will be a big grade and something that you do want to do a good job with. Okay. I hope the video was helpful. And that should do it. Good luck with everything. And again, research is tedious. This is the part where you'll get frustrated at times and you will want to quit for a little bit. But if you keep playing with the search terms, you keep looking through the databases, you will be able to find good enough sources. If you are having that much trouble as a group, that's something to go back to the table, and that maybe you should reconsider your question. Okay, and if you're having doubts with that, definitely come talk to me, and we can definitely tweak your question to make it more researchable. All right, I'm done talking. I'm tired of talking, and I'm sure you're tired of listening. So that's it. Good luck, and there we go. See you.